This is our first, and appreciate having updates like this. But specifically, if there's any feedback on how this is being reported, please do share that so that we can evolve what these reports ultimately look like to give you all that sense of what that governance. But I do need to move.
I'll move.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Stratford. And seconded by Councillor Research. I'll pass over to you, Deputy Mayor.
Really good data. I do just, and this is probably as part of feedback, but on page 122 in the tables, invest and connection counts per scheme, there's an ECB on the, is that East Coast board or something?
Thanks.
That needs.
Whereabouts are you? Sorry?
East Coast Bay, on page 122.
Wastewater RFS connection count per scheme. There's a scheme for ECB.
Is that what I don't think that's what we do. So it should reflect the name that the people know it as.
Yeah. Ikba.
And then just, the first part, that I could read just by zooming in and imagining on page 120 what some of those words said, but if that should be a little bit clearer. And I really liked seeing all the, I'm all about the RFSs, and I like the fact that we've got this table in here reflecting what our promised level of service is listed in the LTP, but it's also the recommended DIA level of services on page 121. But when you go to the RFSs, the amount of noise that I get and Facebook gets is not reflective of how many RFSs are actually coming through. So, call out to people, when your water's out and there's a wastewater spill, do ring ring for those because they need to be reported. Don't do it by email or the little portal online. And it could also be, so where we have also on page 122, that where was it? There was one part where it showed the number of outages and then the amount of noise that they make. No, maybe I read it wrong. So some of the communities that we get high RFS count, take Paihia for example, there have been times, and this is for comms perhaps, where the outage has happened outside of 9 to 5 hours. And so that message is not getting out there. And so it creates more noise. And it could just be also that the water outage is so widespread. But in Koukou, look at that. We have had some big outages, but the noise, the number of RFSs is, relatively low because we've put a water tank out there, we've got a good pānui up on the website and on Facebook. And because we have Roddy, again, Roddy I let him know when I see that there's an outage and he puts it out everywhere. So everybody's informed. So I think it's really important that if we're not already addressing that after hours outage that we do. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say, and I just love this report very much.
Councillor Research.
Yeah, I do like the report myself. I think it's great. And just on page 129, by way of example, mentioned the Rawan system and some of us in the report, some of the fecal counts were high that's suspected to be avian origin. Well, here's some real detail here because it shows the human, the canines and the ruminants, the cows in other words, for those who That's no, avian 100%, you know, and so it's good to know that what's happening. Not much you can do about that, I suppose, except cover it. But it's a good report.
Councillor Foy.
Just on page 128, preventative maintenance. I've noticed a huge increase in the output of works that I've seen on our Three Waters network in Kaitaia. There's the projects that have been waiting for a number of years that are now seeing that traction. So thank you to Tanya and her team for getting those rolling. I can see here for the Kaitaia water supply scheme that there's the highest number of preventative maintenance water outages works done in Kaitaia, and that they're also doing a huge amount of leak detection. I guess so. My question about this in terms of the preventative maintenance, is that a capital budget or is that an OPEX budget when like for these listed in this table, in order to forward plan the plan works, but there's mostly unplanned works here on this list.
Councillor Foy, through you, Mayor Moko, the preventative maintenance is an operational cost and part of the waters contract.
So in this table here where it says like Okahu Road unplanned, in terms of the column saying it's a preventative maintenance work, is that just finding a leak and fixing it, or is it actually addressing fixing the network in a planned format, like how Watercare go around each of their streets and they replace sections of pipe in a planned way that is part of their capital works program? It's a capitalised item.
Councillor Foy, I'm just going to defer, he's just outside of your view, but to Scott Smith, our waters manager, who will be able to provide more detail.
Kia ora, Councillor Foy, through you, Mayor Moko, if I may. It's a mix of both, Councillor Foy. It's a product of finding leaks or identifying leaks through some of the leak detection work, and then some extended maintenance when a leak is found, and a bigger portion of pipe work is to be replaced as such.
Well, that's good to know. So Scott, when it comes to, so this is about water and sewage, when it comes to the stormwater aspect, so let's just say it's a stormwater culvert as part of council's stormwater network, if that is to have work done on it, that is part of operations, what budget does that come from if we don't have an operational budget for stormwater? But there's only a capital budget line.
That would, through you, Mayor Moko, sorry, that would depend on where it sits in the as the council asset, Councillor Foy, whether it's a roading asset or a urban stormwater. Three Waters only covers urban stormwater, not
Correct.
not.
I'm meaning within the area of benefit of the connected $35 per soup stormwater targeted rating area. So urban stormwater.
Councillor Foy, was that a question? Sorry.
Yeah. So that's a question. I don't know. I don't know which budget they're pulling the maintenance budgets from for stormwater currently. So if there is no stormwater maintenance budget, there's only a capital one. How do you maintain the stormwater assets within that urban area? Which budget is it coming from currently?
Through you, Mayor Moko, that's comes out of the operational budget, Councillor Foy, and then depending on the scale of works, it may move to a capital project if required.
Okay, so I know Charlie's just come off leave, but I'll just ask Charlie to give me an example of how much that operational budget is and which budget line that is, so I can relate that back to rating, because I asked a similar question earlier in the meeting, about how we rate for stormwater and how there is no OPEX rating budget line for each property in the area benefit. So I'll defer to Charlie, and if I can have a response on that, that'll be great. Thank you.
Through you, Mayor Moore. Thank you, Councillor Foy. I'm in progress of preparing a response to your earlier question. We do have a combination of targeted and general rates for stormwater OPEX. I'm more than happy to continue the discussion with you to make sure we understand the query and provide the response that gives you the information that you need.
Thank you. So supplementary question to the three waters aspect for stormwater. We have a really great list of the forward planning for water and for potable water. And we're doing a stormwater strategy, but one of my other future questions, just so it won't be a surprise, is what is our priority list of our stormwater projects that we'll be working on, so that we know which ones are going to happen, other than the big ones like we know, like Morewa, for example, and there was the Kitty Cobham Road project as well for stormwater. So I don't need a response now, but just letting you know, I'll keep following up about a full program of work so that we have that prioritized and so we know which ones will be done or not in the next coming 3 years. Thanks.
What we are doing at the moment is asking for, so appreciating that the Gantt view has been requested on a number of occasions for this financial year, whilst completing that, also asking for an early view, just for a list in an Excel spreadsheet for next financial year would be great for us. So we'll ask finance to be able to provide that, which they can do very, very quickly, and put that into a Gantt sooner rather than later, hopefully before the 1st of July, and that will be able to provide some oversight as to what's in the plan, and then what those timeframes look like.
Thank you.
Councillor Halkiat, how do we do?
Kia ora. He pātai, page 129. There seems to be high levels of avian coliform in a number of cases, and I mean, it says in Rawiri 100%. I'm just saying, are we worried about that because of the the potential for carrying disease and et cetera, et cetera?
It's also the waters in the bush.
Huh?
It's also Rawiri waters in the bush. On our range, isn't it?
Through you, Mayor Moore, I might say a couple of things and then hand over to Scott, who's probably got some more to add to that. Yes, we are, for a number of reasons. One of the things that we've also identified with our quality is, so I believe that is 100% of the sample of the coliforms has been related to avian rather than human. But the other thing that we've been talking about recently is that the conditions of our consents also say that we can't have, like, it doesn't actually differentiate between the sources. So another reason that we're also concerned about either the condition or the source is that it then deems us to be non-compliant, because there are because it doesn't specify the source in the condition. It just says you can't have any E. coli or whatever it is, rather than you can't have any human. So yes, we're worried about it, but the other reason that we're worried about either the condition or what it's caused from is that is contributing to our abatement notices.
Scary. What does ruminant mean?
Cows.
Cows,
Huh?
cows,
Oh, I'm safe.
cow shed.
Small stomach animal. Okay.
So appreciate having this data. And at the end of the day, so much ROI regulation requires us to treat any of our water so that it is, those keep people safe no matter the level of fecal comfort. Reason, right?
It's a worry with these big diseases that are coming from various places in the world that we've got high levels.
I'll go to Deputy Administrator for the motion. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed or abstentions, that's carried. We're gonna go to item 4.8 now, our capital program delivery update on page 100. John moved by the second.
And
Councillor Yali. And did I write any notes? I didn't write any notes. Oh, I did have a question though. At our last meeting, I highlighted that a lot of our unplanned or reactive projects that were tagged as unplanned or reactive, actually have very willing governors who would like to see those spent. But to make those decisions, staff needed to meet with our community boards. I wondered if I could just get a verbal update how that's going.
You certainly can. I emailed all three chairs of the board. Who have some things that they would like to spend that money on, and so we'll continue to work through what could possibly be done. They were all very enthusiastic to spend that in their ward, so we'll keep working on that, but definitely reached out.
Hi, thank you for that. Councillor McNally.
Yeah, top of page 131, the old chestnut, telling us multi-year projects. What I want to bring up was the last line in that first paragraph. The capital rating impact of interest and depreciation charges is not triggered until the financial year after the physical works have been completed. That's part of the long tail of operational expenditure I talk about. We need to know what that is, despite when the completion date is. I guess the finance team have that programmed in for us because that affects rates when it is complete. The other, just a couple of other points. If you look at the their little, whatever they are, chart things, district facility that shows total budget, it's got the carry forward there in relation to the LTP. But if you look at the program delivery on the right-hand side of those charts, district facilities, program delivery, unplanned reactive works, concept, design and planning, 10.5 million. To do it, procurement, construction and completion is 5.8. It's not quite double, but it's almost double just in concept and design. Stormwater, 7.2 versus 6.7 to do the work. Over the page, water, 8 million versus 7.3 to do the work. Wastewater, nearly 21 million versus 24 to do the work. What are we spending all the money on with concept design, etc.? Seems a bit nuts, really.
I'll just make a couple of comments through you, Mayor Cord, only because I was in there this morning, and then I'll pass to Mary to be able to answer some more of that. Some of those, particularly in district facilities, are budgets that might not be spent by this financial year. So I see that there was the consent for the marina in Kirikiri was still in there. The airport's in there, and I think the airport might be about 2.4 off the top of my head. So there are some large chunks of money in district facilities that we might not get to. But if I may, Mary, pass to you for any additional comment.
Thank you, through the chair. So the figures on the right-hand side of the capital delivery are budget figures and not committed or spent figures. So we are comparing budgets to budgets to demonstrate where a project is currently sitting within delivery space. This is not a financial report where we're looking to demonstrate capital program delivery.
You know, that shows in your little table on the top of 134, percentage wise. Fiscal facility 29%, stormwater 38, water 27, wastewater 27, 37. Okay, the next question is, under district facilities, it says current project status. Why is Te Pū Waitanga not in here? I don't see it anywhere. It's what the other slide paper.
On which page, sorry, councillor?
No idea.
Oh,
No, it's got the correct name.
Where'd you find it?
Sports Hub, PG.
so it'll be
It's just above Taipa Maritime,
What page?
135.
oh, yes, time for the sports hub.
So we've only spent,
Or is that not it? Is that, no, actually, you're right, Steve, is that, it's dark an answer, but Waipapa Sports Hub, PG, is that Te Pū Waitanga or is that Netball Rugby Court?
No, it is Te Pū Waitanga.
Okay.
Can you change that line item so that we know what it is?
Yes, we can, I believe, annual plan, so from the new budgets, because they're already pre-populated and then we pull it out of a report, but yes, we can ask. I'm sure finance will be fine if we change that for the next financial year.
You've finished, councillor McGovern?
oh yes, sorry, thank you.
Deputy Magistrate. Oh, you wanted to see things.
Yes, you can. Nothing. Thank you.
Had no further application, so I'm going to move the report. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed to abstentions, it's carried. We're going to go to item 6.1, the Koukou Library and Civic Hub project update on page 41.
I'll move it or second it, please.
Moved by councillor Research. Seconded by councillor Lakina. Councillor Research.
Yeah, been a long time coming, and I really do appreciate the work being done by the teams involved. It looks a really nice design. It's a good report. We only just giving the report. Need to know when the expected start date is. Also might add that Nick did present to Rotary and a few other places, did an excellent job, and I think it was really appreciated.
It's on page 142.
Thank you.
Through this year, we expect to come up to Te Koukou next month for approval of construction. So assuming that goes well, we will be looking to start construction in August.
Great.
Yep.
That's a lot of Lakina.
Nick, can you confirm that for the steering group that because we've now handed over the mandate for the tendering process to happen, construction is looking like it's going to happen on the 19th. Do we just does that committee now sit to the side and?
I anticipate we'll have one final meeting in the afternoon, and then the outcomes of the evaluation for your approval. Presuming that the group are okay with it, yes, we would look to move to just updates by email only after that point, because the group's done its job and it's done great, mate. So thank you.
Second part was just some feedback around the numbers that we have here on page 142. 142, in the interest of the public, I think it would be really helpful that we have those numbers next to the architects, etc. in future.
Absolutely, thank you.
I've got councillor Foy, then councillor Haparawira, then councillor Miller.
Kia ora. I just wanted to, because I'm on this working group, I just wanted to reflect on how great it's been with having a one staff contact Ruben has been our staff contact, and it's made it a lot easier to have a champion for the project to deal with. He's been working with Nick there as well. But I think that's worked really well, and I think could be an example of how we could move forward with other key projects like this that haven't seen any movement for a number of years. So a huge thank you to Ruben for pushing this along. And also in terms of the project itself, I think it was really helpful as well with having the actual site documentations so that the working group could view that in advance, and they even went to the extent of marking those out on the site, which was really helpful for site layout. So just reflecting on how this has worked, I think this could be used as an opportunity for future projects. For example, like Te Poaitanga, or it might be a stormwater project, for example, that we could have a champion for going forward. So yeah, just to reflect on that and to see how this has been quite fluid after 10 years that it's now making progress. So thank you to the staff involved.
Through you, Mayor Morkel, just on that point, Councillor Foy, we have a number, not individual projects, that will be managed by project managers, manager delivery, and or myself. But certainly on a number of other things that council is working on SLT, we have a list. So we know that there are benefits to having one point of contact, and there are a number of things in the organisation that we have all been allocated.
I'm going to go to Councillor Haukia Haruiru, then Councillor McNally.
But I'd just like to ask that the Kaitaia Airport and the Koukou Library go on the Final Holdings Statement of Intent.
Good point.
And, you know, because I think,
Picture that, please.
yeah, I think there'd be a lot more confidence if we knew what the projects were, but they're not sort of mapped out, you know. That's all I wanted to make a point on.
Councillor McNally.
Bottom of page 142, it shows the budget spend in the 24-25 year 5.625 million. The prior item, capital program delivery, I don't see this project sitting in that list of works. What would it be called? Koukou Library, I suppose. So if you go back to page 135, which is I've said before about Te Poaitanga, this one doesn't show. Shouldn't that show us carry forward?
I think it's possibly called Community Hub Kaipuhi.
Through the chair, that's correct.
Okay, I'll have a look.
Go to Deputy Mayor Shatford.
I just really wanted to acknowledge, the report says that there's 3 councillors. I don't know if I read that wrong, but I think that we've got Foy, Sitch, Rakina and Kapa. Oh, you're not on there, councillor Lucy.
Sorry, Chair Rudkin.
And Chair Rudkin. Yeah.
Sorry, this was previously.
Yeah. So I wanted to acknowledge them for their time and effort that they've been putting in to get this. Finally, and also councillors Vucic, Tepania and Macaulay in previous terms, Kahika, for making this a priority, making sure that you know, it's not going to be a stagnating project like we have had many a time. And yeah, the staff, total call. By Hilda, we need this on the SOI for final holdings, and yeah, it'll be a joy to see another co-lab space like what we have in Kawakawa and Te Humanga. Final holdings and elected members played a big role in back then. Yeah, kia ora.
Just quickly from me, just appreciate all of the mahi that's gone into this. I went back through our archives to find out where the genesis of this was. And the long-term plan, I found that it first entered on it, honestly looked like that it was made using software from Windows 98. I think it was like three LTP, or like the LTP was a landscape and it looked like it was made on PowerPoint, like it was, I don't know, it's been a long time coming, so very excited to see. There's a lot of hype and buzz in the community, and a lot of local construction firms have put in the tender, and they're excited to want to win it and be a part of an intergenerational community facility. So I'm looking forward to seeing those tenders come back to the next Te Koukou for us to sign off, so that once we sign off that future, then we can award it, and we've got further timelines. Just as a resident of Koukou here, at what point can we expect, and this might be a question for Councillor Kapa, and if it's in your report, I didn't read it. I've got two questions, sorry. First one is, at what point can we expect to have the facility's name revealed, or will that be at the ribbon cutting, blessing type thing? And my second question was, I would appreciate, and only because people in the community have reached out, this is a massive project, and people do want to know the rating impact, or whether, even if it's high level, people are like, is this the whole district paying for this? Is it just Kaipuihokianga? If it's $13 million, you're going out, you're having a 10.98% rates increase because the whole district has to pay for Kaipuihokianga to have a library. That's a nice to have, you shouldn't be doing it. We all in this body understand how capital projects and rating works, but I would like to have some information that I can share that back out with the public, because without knowing any of the set numbers, it's a little bit eerie for everyone. Like, actually, you're not going to have any rating impact. I don't know if you will be implicated when it is finished, though, and I don't know what that would kind of look like. If we had some funding, that would be helpful.
So through the chair, so for your first question, naming is under discussion with Hapu reps at the moment, and we know these things take a little bit of time, but we are hoping that by the time we have our pre-site pressing, we might actually be able to uncover the name at that time, because it has been in discussion for several months now by our Hapu reps. Last update I've had from them is that there were 3 names under pretty fierce consideration. So hopefully that process will conclude shortly. In terms of the rating impact query, absolutely. So thank you for raising that. I will work with Charlie and I to get something digestible for our communities to understand what the impact are and when. And I think to that point, it is a district-wide asset. So the libraries are a district asset, will be district-wide rated, or but hold on that. Thank you.
And if knowing you, it probably already is, but this update we've had, if that can be reflected in our web page that we've got for this.
Absolutely, thank you.
Excuse me, Mayor Moko, can I just drag you back to the currently available funds? Yes. The carry forward is, you've spent 61,000, well, that's the total. As of June, design and planning 61,000. By my calculator, or I'll use my Awarua maths. Page 142, you've spent 2.2 million, or nearly 2.3, and you have available funds of 5.6. There is no carry forward of 5.6 that I can see. You got no money.
I assume that's because it was programmed for next year, so it won't be carried.
No, it actually says 24, 25 year, 5.6. 25, 26, 6.5.
Through the chair, the carry forward has been requested for a very short time because we aren't in a position to allocate the contract award today. So I will follow up and figure out where the error has happened there. So my apologies, Councillor McCann.
That's all right. I'd hate to see you having it.
Yes.
Councillor Kapa, we've noticed your camera on. Just wondering if you had commentary, mate.
Thank you. Just to add.
Do you want to just say, do you need to pull down your Kia ora Shortland Street thing? One thing?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm hoping to attend a meeting with our hapu, and hopefully we can receive a name from them, and then the dates also of the arrangement in August when they turn the soil. So we'll try and get that information earlier so that it's made known to council.
Thank you for that. Councillor Roos to try to reply.
I just, not really, just want to add though that what Felicity did raise, having a one point of contact does make a difference. I do know that.
Council sponsor, I think we.
Or council sponsor, yeah. And I know Ruben was named, and from the Cycleway Trust, they sort of, we pull them out of a bit of a hole. They've lost the staff changes, and he's taken that role there as well. So it does work, so thank you, Ruben.
Fine. All right, we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed or abstentions, that's carried. We're going to go to item 6.10 now on page 153. Community facilities operations and maintenance contract, which I'm going to move because I don't even read it properly, but I was just excited there's something on the agenda. Similar to appreciated our waters operations report. Thank you to Ruben for getting this on here. And I guess just like with other reports, right, Ruben, you're open to feedback from elected members around, this is our first one, but what more or less or anything like that we need to see. Otherwise, when I went through it, I just appreciated the having finally something on for us to digest, which is always good to see. Oh, no, I do have a question. Somewhere on here. Are our who picks up the bill for dumped rubbish, which costs us something like 160k a year? Is it our city care contract or is it our North Waste contract?
Ruben.
Anyway, the reason why I ask that is on the drive back from a whānau weekend moving my sister's house, there was rubbish everywhere, right? So of course, we're having a discussion in the vehicle. Like, oh, do you know that that costs us, our report last month said it cost us like 160k a year. They're like, wouldn't it be cheaper to buy a truck and pay a staff member whose sole job is to do that than to pay 160k a year? Or how much do you get back through litigation? So we actually don't litigate it. So we just pay that year on year on year. So and then it was, oh, is it, well, who does the work? And I actually didn't know. So when I was reading through this, I was like, which contract does that sit under?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, happy to answer that. And actually, it's really good intro to what I wanted to share in that we're coming up on a 1-year annual performance review of this contract. And it's in that presentation or information sharing from City Care, who will come to council in August to provide the lessons learned. It also will include the scope of their responsibilities and who's doing what. But in reflection of how we've performed over the past year, I would expect to see some recommendations on how we adjust, make changes to better serve our communities, specifically related to some of those nuanced issues that you've just raised. I've already seen notes through some of the initial monthly reporting that identifies some of those things perhaps that we hadn't kept track of during the initial implementation of the contract. So we've been adding those throughout the year. So in the report in August, we'll have a really good review of what's worked well, where we still need to improve. And it could be a combination of stuff that you've just mentioned. Perhaps what can we do in-house at a better cost savings to the ratepayer. Just to mention on this report, which is informational purpose only, since taking this as part of the portfolio and delivering operations. I've been working with the team to produce this monthly report. This is a work in progress. If you note in my notes, I do welcome feedback from elected members on what they would like to see, because it's some of the requirements that I'm requesting City Care to provide in their reporting. And obviously, I think the most important and critical information piece that's to come is that annual performance review in August. So just reminding ourselves that this is a 5-year contract, and we're just completing the 1-year performance. So I wanted to make sure that elected members had the opportunity to, 1, start seeing these monthly reports, but 2, see annual performance metric reports, so that we can look at the entire annual budget and how we're performing against that. Kia ora.
Thank you for that. Before I pass on, I do have 3 in the lineup. I think it would be helpful, and this is me, you might already get the far, I'm assuming you don't, but if ward-specific data could be presented and reported in some way, shape or form to community boards. I think that would be helpful. But I'll go Deputy Mayor Shepard, then Councillor Foy, then Councillor Kappa, then Councillor Hauki.
Thank you. I just wanted to know if it's possible to have, or whether it might not sit in this report. There are a number of public toilets that are closed and have been for a long time across the district. It would be good to have some information on why they're closed, what the timeline is for addressing, and when we can expect them to reopen. And I know some of the things are outside of our control, but yeah, there's no information coming on that, so it would be helpful. I don't know whether it sits in this report. And then are we getting, like, cemeteries seems to be a wet weather, and cemeteries seems to be an issue this term. I've never heard so many issues with cemeteries, and I don't know whether it's something to do with like maybe there was some process that previous sextons did at the cemeteries that the ones that are doing the job now don't know about. But yeah, when people are even putting ashes into a hole, like, and it's pouring rain, yeah, it's not good, and holes collapsing isn't great, and I don't know what's going on there. But if there's some operational regular things happening, it would be good to have that in this report.
Yep.
And then I remember when we were discussing pre-tender, there are some community or private landlords, and it would be good to know, it would be good to capture that information somewhere in a report going forward. What can I think of? And groups. So we've got Focus Pie here that I presume is still part of this. And then there's the Koukou Huntbasa Charitable Trust, who link in with City Care somehow. Be good to have those private arrangements in here as well. I think there's even a relationship with water being supplied from a private residence in Ohio, or the Ohio public toilet. So making sure that all that is captured for us going forward, so it doesn't get left out if we change contracts again. And then water fountains, are they included in the City Care cleaning contract, Ruben? I don't know if you can answer that today, but that I would love to know. And if it's not, why not? Because the previous did. And if it is, why are they not cleaned? And street cleaning, in urban centres, used to happen, and it varies for each town, but some only get a deep clean twice a year, not the street, the footpaths. Yeah, so it would be good to know, or if you can put that information out to the business associations so they don't hassle me for that, that would be really helpful. And the other comment I had from the report is, I didn't get any complaints this year about Anzac Day memorials. So that's wonderful. The work that City Care did on the back of, the previous contractor, everybody was happy. However, there had been a standing arrangement to open up nearby public toilets for dawn services, and that didn't happen. So if that can please happen going forward, that would be wonderful. That's all I have from that report. Thank you.
We'll go to Councillor Boyd, then Councillor Kapa, then Councillor Hapkian. How do we do? All right, and then Councillor Research. Councillor Boyd.
On page 159, it has the table of the key performance indicators. One of the key aspects in there is works completed to agreed works program. We have not been given the agreed works program, and I'll give you an example. I'm on the community board for Koukou, and we had a number of workshops with Mr. Norton before he left, where we had outlaid our levels of service. These levels of service were designated into different categories based on usage. One was a destination location. One was, it might be the wrong names, but it was like a high use, low use, and I think there was 4 categories. And those categories were then sectioned to the frequency of the amount of mows that was supposed to be done per month. Those areas have not been done, the frequency agreed to as per the contract. And this has been highlighted from the community board because we actually went through each area specifically. For example, Awanui was a destination facility on the intersection with State Highway 1 and State Highway 10. And the lawns are on different foreshore areas and different destination facilities like Awanui have been getting extremely long, like over your knees, up to your thighs. And that's reflective of, under service delivery, works completed to agreed works program. In my view, if I was auditing this, I would say no. And then I would give the number of frequencies of mows they actually done and what was in the contract, because we had increased the level of service for spring to allow for more mows in spring, because we know grass grows faster in spring. So the contract was changed to reflect that, but the auditing and reviewing of the contract before they pay the lump sum payment hasn't been done, in my view, to a standard that reflects those levels of service in the contract. And the second part of that is the spraying of the edges, which also has been an issue, not just for edges of recreational facilities, but also like the wipe of a roundabout, for example, was an issue. So those are the types of questions that I will be asking in the next meeting. And it would be really helpful to have those schedules and the frequencies of mows so that the community can keep the contractor accountable, and we will tell the community how many mows are in the contract. So we are told if they're not doing that, number of frequency for that month allocated. Is there any response to that?
Oh, happy to respond. It sounds like from the report that I'm saying works delivered to program and specified frequencies. If there are, as you reported, any discrepancy around works not being completed, then I think it is important to share with elected members what that work program looks like to make sure that it does include or does not include, just for clarity, what they're measuring against. It's part of the reason why this report is going to be helpful on a monthly basis. And your questions here, in addition to Deputy Mayor's questions, are certainly will be addressed by City Care in person in the August meeting when I've got them in to present. So this is the kind of feedback that, from an operational side, I want to hear and take back to hold our contractors account to the service level agreements.
Thank you, Ruben.
Kia ora.
Councillor Haukia, how do we?
I could, similar to, Councillor Stratford. This, I think take kapiana ngā wharipaku o Kororareka. And pehea te ro o tira, how long are we gonna wait for the 3 toilets in Kororareka to be fixed? Only because, Jane keeps reminding us. He whakautu is the answer. And why is it closed? It was implied that there was no money to fix it.
Kia ora, happy to respond then, and I can look into that for you, Councillor, and confirm, as it generally relates to toilets. I know some of the issues and concerns that have been raised recently that has been escalated to me have been particular toilet blocks that are not part of our jurisdiction. Those end up being with DOC, and for whatever reasons, they've locked those up and have removed them from their maintenance program schedule. So while they are out in our general community areas, it's not part of council's assets or responsibility to facilitate those. And I don't know if better signage can improve the confusion that's occurring as to who's responsible for those toilets. Now, I don't know if that's specifically related to the ones you've identified, but I can certainly look into it. I've noted from Deputy Mayor's comments around toilets, and I would like to see that added to our monthly report moving forward, that we can have all toilets identified in the district in their various status each month.
I appreciate that, and if you could look into the Kororareka ones, they're not done. My ones, I think,
Kia ora.
we're docked at Kororareka Park, but
Yeah,
if
we'll
you
do.
look at, and it would be
Absolutely.
great to have a breakdown of our 193, I think it is, public toilets we have in the district.
Can I just
Yep.
add to that? So the ones at Kororareka, we have been actually paying for those toilets. So like they were our toilets on DOC's land at one point. So we need to investigate that. And we even put portaloos on site because of that. We had an arrangement with them that was long-standing for a long time. I've got some emails.
Oh, can you send them to Penelope? She's been
Okay.
dealing with all my. All right, I'll go to council research.
You just text page 165. I just noted an error there. That's the first furniture 103. We add it all up, it doesn't come to 103, it comes to 93. I think maybe on page 165 for the West Ward, instead of being 18, it might be 28, 10. But just in terms of city care, so I'm looking forward to the demonstration in August, Ruben. I know City Care has got very good reporting tools, electronic reporting tools. And what I'll be asking for, or hope to see, because that deals with a lot of community board requests, is putting online monthly their assets that they've actually, well, say the parks that they've mowed, and that would go a long way to actually, answering the community's wishes to see out the frequency, and they'll be self-policing as well by doing that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kia ora. Thank you, Ruben. Thank you for bringing this to the hui. And I do understand you have noted that we'll be receiving a fuller report come this August. And I just want to mihi to you because we had 2 previous GMs in your position from around November when things started to go hectic. Elected members were questioning the GM, asking what was the deal, what was the service level agreement, where's the contract? Nothing came to light, nothing at all. We had a second person, nothing at all. That person actually didn't even know where one wharaway was. And now we've got you. So thank you, Ruben. I know that you've actually just been thrown into a deep end with a whole bunch of sharks, aka elected members, trying to figure out what's happening on behalf of the communities. And there are still some concerns out there in our community, especially our rural communities. Not even that long ago, I made a trip across to Norfolk Young. The ferry at the Narrows, the grass there was almost just as tall as my hips. I'm a pretty tall person. There's other concerns around the agreement between the Koukou leaseholders. That was a kaupapa that came back up in 2023 with the Tolo whānau. And there's also the growing concerns that still remain with the Kaiwera District Sportsville in terms of the level of services that haven't been met since City Care took over. But I look forward to that report coming to us in August, looking at what those KPIs are and wiping out the word on page 153 that mentions the majority of its contractual to all of the contractual obligations have been met, and an interesting read on page 162. I'll leave it there. Kia ora.
Oh, how? Sorry. I moved it. I'm sorry. Right, all those folks out. Those opposed or abstentions, that's carried. Now going to move that we exclude the public for item 7.1. Confirmation of previous minutes, public excluded in 7.2. Infrastructure acceleration fund, Kawa water reticulation upgrades, physical works procurement. Seconded by Councillor Research. Thank you, Councillor Research. Any commentary?
No.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed or abstentions? That's carried. We'll go